Hello and welcome to this video where we are going to be covering pre and post workout nutrition. So we are going to go over the pre-workout nutrition to start with. So we want to be filling our bodies with slow release carbs, for example porridge, noodles, rice, potatoes, pasta, etc, because we want to release energy over a longer period of time, ensuring that we've got optimal energy throughout our workout. The name fast and slow carbs refer to the rate of digestion, so this is why we recommend slow release carbohydrates for the bulk of your carb intake, as they take longer to be digested, meaning you have a sustained release of energy for longer as opposed to a quick spike followed by a severe crash shortly after. So we want to be eating foods that make us feel good and give us energy, especially before we work out. So if that means eating a pizza, for example, before you go to the gym, and then you feel absolutely horrendous, you feel drained of energy, lethargic, was that the right food? Definitely not. So fast release carbs can be added alongside as well. So for example, that could be something like fruit or fruit bars, because that will mean that we're just getting a good even mix of both carbohydrates. Because if we've got the slow, now this could be a porridge and banana, for example. So we've got the slow release carbs coming from the porridge and the fast release carbs coming from the banana, which means that we're just making sure that we've got enough readily available energy so that we can have a really good workout without feeling sick, dizzy, or faint because we never ate enough. So we're going to try and stick to the naturally occurring simple sugars pre-workout. Post-workout is where you can take advantage of the sweet treats. So, for example, if before you have a workout, you have chocolate or some form of sweeties, and then you go and then you train, you won't feel good because one, the energy won't be there in terms of it won't be there for long enough and it's not a great source. But where you can take advantage is post workout, because you have an amazing window of opportunity here to have something, in air quotations, bad. Now, why is this? Because you've just depleted the glycogen, which is the broken down carbohydrates, which is your body's primary source of fuel, and your muscles from training. So you imagine that, just as a quick example, that you eat a bit of bread. That bit of bread is broken down into glucose, which is then broken down into glycogen. Now that is your muscles' primary source of fuel. So this is now what we want to replenish as soon as we finish working out. So that glycogen, as I just said, needs to be replenished, and your muscles will now be extra sensitive to carbohydrates as they are now screaming out for them. So when we have fast release carbs, simple sugars, such as fruit, sweets, chocolate, baked goods, you raise the blood sugar into a spike rather than a wave with slow release carbs. So by now spiking the blood sugar, it now your pancreas now releases insulin, which are like taxis. They now go into the bloodstream and they now take out the sugar from the bloodstream and take it straight to the muscles. Now, the muscles also need protein to start repairing the damage done by training and begin building new tissue. So, what's ideal about this situation is the insulin will now act as a carrier for the protein too and shuttle it into the muscles a lot quicker due to the increase in insulin presence created by the sugar spike. Meaning that not only have you just been able to eat something that would be classed as unhealthy, but you've just used it in an extremely beneficial way that will actually attribute to you getting leaner. Happy days. So, things to remember. So, you still have to remember that it's still all about the calories. So, it's not just a case of training, eating half a chocolate gateau, and justifying it with, well, I'm spiking my sugar post workout. It doesn't work like that, unfortunately. So, if you overconsume your calories, you will gain weight. There is no two ways about it. Because at the end of the day, it's not about the blood sugar, it's about how many calories you consume in a day. So this is where we just want to be very mindful of what we're doing after a workout. All we want to do is we want to spike the blood sugar, because when we spike the blood sugar, there is now going to be a bigger presence of insulin. Then when we have protein along with that sugar spike, then it means that the insulin is going to shuttle the protein into the muscles a lot quicker than it normally would, which means that you're just ensuring that you get the protein straight into the muscles where it needs to be and then replenish any lost glycogen, which basically just makes you recover a lot quicker, and it's just good practice to do. Also, if you do feel like doing this may result in you then consuming too much afterwards and throwing you off track, then you can wait until you've had at least minimum 6 weeks of good eating habits under your belt before introducing this. So if you feel like post workout that I'm saying, for example, go and have like chocolate and maybe like a yogurt or something like that, then if you feel like having that would then start a chain reaction of you potentially going for something else and then something else, or having too big a portion, then just wait until you've got a good 6 weeks of good eating under your belt, and then you can start introducing this. Also, if you're diabetic, avoid peaks and troughs of your blood sugar and test your sugars regularly. So I wouldn't even recommend playing about with anything like this. I would just eat as you normally eat, and you'll know yourself what's best and how to control your blood sugar. Also, we want to make sure that we're actually having enough calories. So, for example, consuming 100 calories before a morning workout and expecting to perform at your best is like putting £5 of fuel in your car for a 200-mile journey and expecting to get there. It's just not going to happen. So, if you have a workout without having enough fuel, you're not going to perform at your best and you're not going to feel great for it afterwards because if you don't eat enough, you then might feel sick, dizzy, faint, and that's definitely not where we want you to be. Also, we want to leave enough time between eating and training. So we want to leave about 45 to 60 minutes before you start any exercise, just to make sure that we've digested the food and you don't feel bagged up. And we want to choose the foods that will give you a good return in energy. So for the example I used earlier, if you eat a pizza, which will normally leave you feeling like you want to retreat onto the sofa for a lie down, does that sound like the right option before a workout? Definitely not. So the main take home points from this are: make sure that you're eating enough before you do any kind of exercise. Make sure that whatever you're having before you train is carb dominant, because if you're going to have anything, you want to make sure that it's carbohydrates so that you've got enough energy. You want to leave enough time before training once you've eaten, so 45 to 60 minutes. After you work out is the time. Now, you don't have to do this, but it's the time where you can use it to have something a wee bit sugary and just make sure that you're having protein with it. And then from there, just make sure that you're eating foods before you train that are going to give you a good amount of energy. All right, so we have covered pre and post workout nutrition. I will see you in the next video.